Hey there, it's JohnBerry555. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the central message, the central theme thematical of The Owl House by Diana Terrace. So, before I get too far in, if you haven't seen The Owl House yet, watch it. If you haven't seen the season finale yet, watch it. It's out on Disney+. But The Owl House, like I said in several of my other videos, is a spectacular show and I highly recommend it. And the themes about it is probably the main reason why. Everything about The Owl House can be summed up with this line that our characters say more than once: us weirdos have to stick together. It sounds a little cheesy, but it's so wholesome the way they do it. So us weirdos have to stick together could be interpreted another way is those of us who are different should be different together. Kind of sounds weird, but it's not too dissimilar from the Island of Misfit Toys a little bit in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, or maybe even other shows as well kind of touch on this a little bit. But everything about the house is about acceptance and tolerance. That's the central message of the house, to be accepting and tolerant of other people's differences. Whether that be kind of weird character quirk differences, like, liking writing weird fanfic, or just kind of like not fitting you belong for some reason. It's all about acceptance and tolerance. Of course, it also addresses the paradox of tolerance. That being, to be tolerant and to live in a tolerant world, you can't be tolerant of intolerance. So to be tolerant, you have to be intolerant to intolerance. What? Does that even make sense? But it does make sense. And that's why Bellows, the main villain of the show, is pure evil, because he's totally intolerant. Other characters, they may have moments of unacceptance and intolerance. Well, there's also Dahlia, but she was only intolerant of Luz because Luz was a human and a criminal. Well, yeah, of course. But still, she's just a worse. But like Bella's kind of same thing, like certain people you just can't reach out to. There's no way you can change them. They're just so intolerant, so unaccepting. And the message of the show is, yes, you can be tolerant and accepting, give people kindness and forgiveness, but there comes to a point where there are just certain people who you just can't do anything with. And that's why Bellows is pure evil. He was the only type of character that could reinforce the message of tolerance by showing that live in a tolerant society, you can't be accepting of intolerance. It's called a paradox for a reason, because it's hard to wrap your head around, but the Owl House really does tackle in such a good way that you can be as tolerant, as accepting as you want. Us weirdos have to stick together. But there comes a point where people who are fighting against tolerance, against acceptance, who are wanting to destroy things just because they are different, you can't accept them. You have to say, that's wrong, and take a stance against them. Sometimes it could be the way they do with Fidalia and just shun her at the end of the show, or it could be more like Bella's, where you just stomp him out of existence. Both of those work, but sadly, in the real world, like in the Owl House, to be tolerant, you cannot be accepting of intolerance. It's a paradox of tolerance. But that's also why I really do love the theme, because it's a very complex theme. It seems like kids need to learn. I don't buy what Disney said that, no, the Owl House didn't fit the brand. And it's not because of Luminty and all the gays there. No, I don't think it's that. I think it's because, one, the Owl House had a complex ongoing arc, and because its theme, its messaging, like, acceptance is good, but also, other shows, when they do this kind of messaging, they have the villain come around at the end. So probably Disney was afraid that I was going to muddle the way Diana Terrace was taking the story, so I was going to muddle the message. Meanwhile, they were actually muddling the message because they were not getting it. That's very fitting for Disney. Very fitting for them. Oh, and while this is kind of off topic a little bit, but I kind of addressed why Disney canceled the show prematurely, even though we did get some kind of conclusive ending. They wanted, same thing with Amphibia. Some budgeting thing during COVID probably didn't help both Amphibia and the Owl House, but definitely didn't help the Owl House. But the show Gravity Falls was a huge success for them with a complex story, and they wanted to capture it. So they found creators who probably also found them that in the application of Amphibia and the Owl House, which gave them the kind of stories they wanted to replicate from Gravity Falls. But apparently something got muddled in the Disney execs, so they muddled everything up for everyone else. But the Amphibia was further along in production before the muddling happened, so they were saved from that. And the Owl House, the team was able to take that constraint, put them in the studio, and were able to still tell the story. Maybe not the original story they wanted, but still conveyed, I think, the same themes and messaging that they wanted to tell. And they were able to do it, and I think, a way that probably ended up being better than they were originally intending. But I wouldn't mind seeing the kind of a rough outline of what Dan Terrace's original endgame was, because I want to see what it was and kind of compare it. Not necessarily to say whether it be better or worse, but I want to see how they use the constraints for their benefit, and to really, I think, do an even better job of conveying the message than they could. Because without the collector, I don't think the Owl House could have effectively told the message, the theme of acceptance and tolerance, while also addressing the paradox of tolerance. I don't think that would have been possible without the collector and their naivety trying to show kindness and forgiveness to Bells. I don't think that would have worked without the changes they made to bring the collector into the story. But those are just my thoughts. But that is where I'm going to end this review. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. There's a lot more that we can talk about the Owl House's theme, but yes, us builders need to stick together. Whether it be us adults who still like watching cartoons, because we all don't want those raunchy Adult Swim style cartoons, and also us builders in the sense that, we are accepting in a world full of unacceptance. Builders in any different way. Everyone has their own weirdness, own quirk that makes them a weirdo in some circle or the other. And imagine the circle you're in, let's just be accepting of each other and what unites us, what makes us the same. Sometimes that could be our differences, or just us all trying to find a place we belong. But that's all I have for you today. So if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to give it a like, upvote, and share. Also, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already, and ringing that bell to stay up to date on all that I do. And in the meantime, thanks for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. Have a good one. Bye!